Reset, I'm going to bring up my amazing colleagues, Dr. Britt and Dr. Kate, just to have a discussion about their amazing research that is starting to give some great data that these resets work. And they have both had a focus on the stress mindset reset.
I've always been fascinated by the body's ability to heal, which led me to focus my dissertation on stress as well, a factor that's involved in nearly all forms of disease. We know that healing is most effective when our nervous system is in a parasympathetic state and relaxed state, rather than the stressed sympathetic state. So my goal was to evaluate the effectiveness of the SMR, as I'm going to call it, stress mindset reset technique in reducing stress. How well does it take us from the left side of your screen, the sympathetic stress responses, to the right side of your screen, the parasympathetic feeling state? So, and is that better than just breathing, focusing on our breath alone, right? Is it better than vegging out in front of the TV? So go to the next slide. So I designed a randomized control trial. The interventions were video format, with the techniques being a follow along. So there was no blinding. You knew which group you were in when you got the video. The reset was 6 minutes long. The breathing was 3 minutes from calm. So it was an inhale for 3, hold for 2, exhale for 5, hold for 2. The control video was a 3-minute clip of a non-emotional documentary of how crayons are made, actually. I got 87 viable entries from 82 adult participants. So yes, they could enter more than once. I did a couple of assessments before and after. I could not find a validated assessment focusing on the feeling states of acute stress. So I based it off of the Spielberger state part of the anxiety inventory and the functionality of the PROMIS perceived stress scale. I created 8 I feel statements, like I feel anxious or I feel peaceful, 4 sympathetic and 4 parasympathetic, and participants rated themselves from 0, not at all, to 9, extremely. And then I also added a qualitative comparison on the after. So in the next slide, you'll see some of the findings. So quantitatively, so if we take those 8 questions from 0 to 9, we'll get a total stress score of somewhere between 0 and 72. 72 being super stressed. And what you'll see in the first bar chart is basically the average of the stress reduction. How much did the whole group come down on average? And the stress mindset reset did a wonderful job coming down at, I think it was over 18 points, especially compared to the control at, I think it was 4.5 points. So you'll see that it really did a wonderful job. So I'm looking at the difference here and saying, well, I'm wondering if there's statistical difference between these groups. And there was. I ran a test. So I had to run what you see the chart below, the Tukey's HSD, the honestly significant difference, to see which groups there was statistical significance. And it was between the stress mindset reset versus the control. Did not find significance between the other two. But what does statistical significance mean? It basically means we can rule out that this drop in stress was due to chance. And because I had a control group in the design, it's highly unlikely that it was due to the placebo effect either. So it really is the technique itself that's causing the drop in stress scores. So if you go to the next slide, we're going to break down the 8 I feel statements on the left-hand side of your screen. See, I feel anxious, I feel nervous or tense is the way it was asked. 4 sympathetic, 4 parasympathetic. You'll see them broken out. The little I's by the parasympathetic mean that the values were inverted. So therefore, like peaceful, for instance, actually went up 2.1 points on average. This is average per statement. The scale over on the right-hand side, you'll see that the yellow is pretty much no change. Going all the way down to the blues and dark purples are the most change per score. And if you just take a look at the overall picture of the colors, you'll see the stress mindset reset column is just wonderfully dark blue and dark purples, and especially highlighting the change in feelings of overwhelm, irritated and annoyed, and nervous and tense were the biggest, highest scores. So stress mindset reset really demonstrated the greater effectiveness in reducing stress compared to the other 2 groups. It's absolutely beautiful. So in the next slide, I'm showing the qualitative comparisons. So I asked the participants to compare how they felt after the session relative to how they felt before the session. So there's the key there. So you want to see a lot of yellows here in this chart. Much better, somewhat better. So I put the percentages of what the answers were here, and you'll see that 54%, over 54% said much better in the stress mindset reset, especially compared to the control. You even had some that say they felt worse or much worse. So there was a statistical significance actually between the association between the type of intervention and the comparison ratings that were given. And stress mindset reset really demonstrated, I think, the most improved well-being. And on the next slide, just want to quickly highlight 3 participants. So this is what you're looking at, is 3 different sets of participants that were in fact their own control. So they entered the study, they got the control group, and you'll see by the dark gray to the light gray bars, all 3 participants actually went up in stress by the end of the video. Then they immediately re-entered the study and did the stress mindset reset. So that's the dark pink to the light pink bars. You'll see a huge drop in stress. So this really highlights stress mindset reset's ability to the potential of it to really is a powerful tool for stress management. It offers not only immediate relief, but improved well-being overall. So just fantastic. I would love to see this even more. I want to see more participants doing this and being their own controls. But with that, I'm going to send it back to Dr. Laura for the conclusions.